1.
ELPAC, the English Language Proficiency Assessment for California. What is the purpose of ELPAC and which students are required to take it? The ELPAC has two parts. The first part is the initial assessment. Students will take the initial assessment if the student has a primary language other than English, the student has not taken the SALT or ELPAC before, and the student has not been classified before as an English learner. I'm not going to read every single thing in the slide. You could always pause it, take your time. Here is the what, the when, and the why of the initial assessment. Second part is the summative assessment. The summative assessment is given to students who are identified as an English learner on the initial assessment. You could take your time reading the what, the when, and the why. Available to all students. Breaks, oral clarification of test directions, scratch paper, sufficient time to complete the test. And then we got supports, audio amplification of equipment, most beneficial time of day to take the ELPAC, and any test examiner needs to sign the ELPAC test security affidavit. Another support, audio or oral presentation of test directions in English, color overlay, manually coded English or American Sign Language, noise buffers. Available to students with an individual education program or Section 504 plan. Accommodations, audio or oral presentation of test questions for the writing section in English, dictation by the pupil of responses, including spelling and language conventions, to a scribe, auto recorder, or speech to text converter, large print version of the ELPAC. Responses dictated to a scribe for selected response items, including multiple choice items for listening, writing, and reading. Breaks that are supervised, test questions enlarged and electronically, testing at home or in the hospital by a test examiner. So it's important that we finish this test, or take these EL learners finish this test and take it. Accommodations, again, the scribe needs to sign an ELPAC test security affidavit. This is important for you to know. Unlisted resources. To obtain approval to use an unlisted resource, an ELA may submit a request to California Department of Education on behalf of a student with a disability prior to administering an initial or summative assessment. About the ELPAC. This is just background knowledge. You could pause again. A reminder, you could pause and read this at your own time. I'm not going to take too much time, but I do want to read this. State and federal law requires that local education agency administer a state test of ELP, English Language Proficiency, to eligible students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Again, the initial assessment and summative assessment. ELPAC domains or disciplines: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Here's an English language learner having the time of her life in taking the ELPAC test. Domain 1, listening. The goal of the listening domain in an actual test setting is to provide information about an English learner's ability to listen actively and interpret and comprehend grade-appropriate and increasingly complex spoken English in a range of social and academic contexts. Again, just a reminder, you could pause this. In the listening domain, where you see the bold words, listen to a short exchange, those are the skills they need to learn in each domain. So if it's bold, make sure that you pay attention to it. So those are the skills they need to learn. listen to a short exchange, listen to a classroom conversation, listen to an oral presentation, listen to a speaker's supporting opinion. Domain 2, reading. The goal of the reading domain in an actual test setting is to provide information about an English learner's ability to closely read increasingly complex grade level tests, offer interpretation and ideas about the test, and analyze how writers use vocabulary and other language resources. Reminder again, you could pause this and read it in your own time. And all the examples are from the 6-8 ELPAC practice test. And for the reading domain, read a short informational passage is in bold, so that's important. Skill they need to learn. Read a student essay. Read an informational passage. Domain 3, writing. The goal of the writing domain in actual test setting is to provide information about an English learner's ability to write literary and informational tests to present, describe, and explain ideas and information in a range of social and academic contexts. Reminder again that you could pause the screencastify and take your time reading the writing information. The skill that the student needs to learn is describe a picture, write about an experience. Students write about a familiar topic such as a memorable classroom activity or event based on their own personal experience. Writing about experience. Writing about academic information. Writing about academic information again. Being familiar with graphic organizers. Students should be able to read different graphic organizer, basic outlines, Venn diagrams, compare and contrast, pie charts, flow maps, bubble maps, and etc. In the writing domain, justify an opinion is a skill they need to learn. Justify an opinion, this is the prompt from the practice test. Domain 4, speaking. The goal of speaking in the speaking domain in actual test setting is to provide information about an English learner's ability to express information and ideas, support and evaluate opinions or arguments, and participate in a grade level conversations and group and class discussions. Reminder again, you could pause this and read it at your own pace. Speaking, talk about a scene is the skill they need to learn. Students look at a picture of a familiar scene in school context. The student then answers 6 questions about the scene with a single word or short phrase or longer response. Talk about a scene. Speech functions. Speech functions again. Support an opinion. Support an opinion. Present and discuss information. And the speaking portion domain, we have a pie chart. Students should be able to explain what's happening in a pie chart. And then students are asked different questions to see if they understand the pie chart. Summarizing academic presentation. Here's the main points. And this part of the test, you will listen to some information. Evaporation and condensation cycle. Recorded audio script. The steps you need to take. Summarize the information you heard. Be sure to explain evaporation and condensation. Include all the steps in the demonstration and use relevant details in clear language. Resources for listening. Resources, all the pros and cons for listen-wise. Resources for reading. Suggestions to help EL be successful in the ELPAC. Resources for writing. Resources for speaking, and the bibliography. Thank you for listening to the presentation.